No, you're good. This looks good. Whatever that is.
That's the GoPro.
Yeah. That coloring looks good.
Okay. So. All right, y'all. As I said, I was going to be back. I'm here with Mr. Vic Clinco, the owner of the world's largest hot sauce collection. Vic, how you doing, bud?
I'm doing fantastic, man. Appreciate you coming by.
I'm glad you fit in the Camaro.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Scrunch up a little bit, but we did it. We did it.
So how did you actually initially get into the hot sauce business? Not exactly hot sauce itself, but the business.
The business, yeah. So, with being a collector, I started going to all of the shows, right? Zest Fest and Pinellas, as many as we could go to each year. I dragged my wife all over the country and do that thing. We had gotten to a point where some of the manufacturers were just saying, you hear like all the time, why don't you just come and help us, you know?
That's fair.
Yeah, right. We started off with Jim Campbell. I don't know if you know who Jim Campbell is. So I tease him. Jim was like the pepper grower to the stars back in the day, right?
Okay.
So he provided peppers for Dave's, for Blair's, for K. John's. Right? So one time I think we were at Zest Fest, and nature called. We needed to run from the booth. He was like, "You guys eat my sauce all of the time, right? So help me just cover." And we're like, "Yeah, go take a break, go do whatever." And we were just jamming, you know. When it came back, it was like any time that we needed help. So kind of just that opened up a door for me. And so it wasn't long after that, K. John kind of reached out and said, "Listen." It was really hard for him to take somebody out of the kitchen, out of the warehouse, out of the gift shop, whatever. It was easier for them to fly us in. Number one, we like to talk to people, right?
Yep.
We love hot sauce, so
Yep.
it was easy, right? And then we knew all of the sauces. It just worked out really good, and it was a win-win for us because he got the help that he needed. And then I got to go to the shows, and I got to meet all the new folks that would go each year. I got to try all the sauces and all that. So it just really worked out well.
See, okay, that's why you're grooming Katie Bannister.
Yeah.
This sounds familiar, folks.
Right. She's pretty awesome, man. I'm a big fan of hers.
Yes.
From day one, from like the minute that she put her face out there. She just drew me in. So
well, I mean, even in Dallas, when I felt a little uncomfortable because of the situation that was, she's like, "Don't, I got your back." So I was like, "Cool."
Yeah, it's good people, right? She's got a heart, and I think that when you have a heart, it shows through, right?
Absolutely.
It's easy to do the camera thing, right? And it's easy to be an actor if that's your thing.
Right.
But if you don't have it here and it doesn't come out in what you say, what you do, and how you act, people see through that pretty quick. And she's genuine. Right? She's good.
Oh yeah, no, I mean, she's a few times I got to talk to her outside the Hulu series.
Yeah.
Or as long as she wasn't busy, it was like, "How you doing?"
Right. What'd you think of that? I thought they did a pretty good job on, so it's always fun for me. I love the opportunities I get to talk about this, right? So it's my passion, right? So nobody puts 11,000 bottles in their freaking basement, right? And goes to this extent, without it being some sort of a passion.
Correct.
Right? So, you and I talk about it, on a ride over here. A lot of folks get into the business, right? And so they either don't like Tabasco or they don't like something, so then they try to make their own sauce, right? They want to break into it, or they see how the good things that happen on the Facebook world, the social media world. Well, I chose I guess I chose a different path, because I grew up. I like spicy. I like hot sauce. Hot sauce seems to be the easiest vehicle, right? You just find it; it's more readily available than most stuff. And even back in the day when I was young, a jillion years ago. But it just seemed that. So for me, when I it was 7 bottles, 8 bottles, I guess it was the first, and it was a Christmas present from Wendy. And it was funny because we laid them out on the kitchen counter. And when people were coming over for the holidays, they'd giggle and they'd laugh, ass kicking and all that kind of stuff, right? So that's what it was. And then I found this book, and it's actually over there on the bar, it's called The Great Hot Sauce Book. It's by Jennifer Trainer Thompson, and it was like dude, it was like a picture catalog, right? And it had a picture of each sauce and where it was from, and heat levels and all that stuff. So it was like mind blowing. And then the cover of it is her hot sauce collection, and I had no idea people did that. I didn't even realize that was a thing, right?
Yeah.
So it was like boom. I mean, it just opened up my eyes. So I don't know when it really kind of started, that love for it, and that love, but that was the vehicle. That was the point when it just ignited into the collecting thing. And it's more now that I chose that way. I chose that angle. I chose the hot sauce part of it because I love the hot sauce. But still, if you think about it, you boil it down, you reduce it. I'm a collector.
Yep. I can see that.
Yeah.
I mean, you walked me through Hot Shots Distributing and told me, a lot of what's going on there and how it works. And I'm gonna be honest with you, I've worked in warehouses. I mean, even if it's just for a couple of days. And you gotta have a passion for what you do when you work in a warehouse. I mean, I know you can't just go pick it up and just go start drinking it, because it's a business. But at the same time, you kind of can.
Right. Sure. Yeah. Working in a big warehouse, it's not the most glamorous job in the world, right? So, though I look pretty when I do it, but it's kind of neat. So you get to see, there's a lot of folks that reach out. And so how do I get into hot shots? And how do we do this? And then some of the newer items that we bring in, and the brands that have been around for Yucateco, right, came out with all that new line of sauces.
I've seen it, yeah.
Right? So it was really kind of cool to be able to try all of those. And we do. We said, we used to, when we were more office driven, when it was a little bit of a bigger group, we would sit down, we'd just pick a day. Hey, Wednesday after lunch, we're going to sit down and we're going to try some new stuff. And so it was a lot of fun for us to do that. And I still think that because that's what it's all about, right? So if you don't, it's the same thing. I take a lot of criticism for people. Well, how can you put full bottles of hot sauce and they're going bad on your shelves? I couldn't do that. I want to eat all of it, right?
That's what I was going to say here.
Right.
I've kind of turned into a collector because as much as I wanted to eat them, when I stopped doing as many reviews, they kind of started going out of date. So now they're just going to go up on the shelf because some of them are cool, and then I'll just buy a new bottle here soon.
And that's what I try to do. So where it came from was the love of hot sauce. So I've never strayed off of that. Now, as I've gotten older, I've gotten a little more, my patience is a little, is better. I can, if I just get one of the bottle, it's okay for me to put it on the, I figure I'll find it down the road again somewhere or whatever it looks like, But I try as many hot sauces as I possibly can. But if somebody just sends, and that's another part of this, So one of the big questions is how much do you think you have tied up in it? I have no idea, because though I do purchase a lot of sauce, I do have a lot of sauce sent to me as well, which I think is just absolutely humbling.
Oh yeah, no, we were talking about that a little while ago, and so folks, if you're thinking about sending him some sauce to put in here, send him two, one to put up and one to eat.
Well, that's why I get to talk about it, right? So it's the same thing. It's the same thing with eating hot sauce. It's the same thing with eating chili peppers. They ask me, do you eat the chili peppers? Do you try every single one? Oh, this is the new hottest or whatever. This one's is trendy right now, whatever it is. And the short answer is yes. I try to eat as many as possible. I try as many sauces as absolutely possible because a lot of folks then see this, so then you become someone that they're asking questions.
Oh yeah, no.
So you have to have those answers.
From my foray into barbecue sauce, and then once COVID hit, now into the chili head community, I've had a lot of questions. I've had a lot of questions answered, which bring about a ton more questions.
Sure.
So,
well, you almost become when you really assume that chili head role, right, and you let people know that you're right. You're wearing the t-shirts, you're wearing the hats, you're decked out, you've got hot sauce, you're carrying a holster of hot sauce with you everywhere you go,
I'm sorry, Steve. I meant to bring you I knew I forgot the most. That was the most important thing other than these
break
sauces.
his heart.
I know.
Big giant gator tears, alligator tears.
I got to get some more because I got to replace 2 of them. If you know what I mean.
Yeah. But again, so you end up you get a lot of questions, right? You field a lot of questions, and you ask a lot, and doing tours of the room, people want to know, So again, if you're not educated about what you're doing, again, people see through that. So
Yep.
I want to be that quasi educator, if you will. You know what I'm saying? Because this is my soapbox. So for me, right? So I am not one brand. I'm not one company, right? I'm the industry. I'm the community as a whole,
Right.
So that's where my Instagram started, and it was just simple of putting a brand new sauce up on there, giving their website, tagging that company, and just giving those folks the opportunity to get out there, to be seen, right? And now that I've gotten, I mean, it blows me away how many followers that I have just on the Instagram. Some guys, I have condiments on my walls, dude. You know what I'm saying? It's just so. That's
fair,
right? It's kind of weird. So I might as well, if I don't use that to my benefit, right? It's just might as well just piss it away.
Well, absolutely. I mean, and you've got enough followers now that, I mean, I don't know if you've monetized or anything, but I mean, you can monetize on, at least on that one.
I know. I need to do that. Here I get my grandpa. I am going to at some point. It's funny because I just went and got my beard and my haircut and all
That's the first thing I noticed. I was like, it's a little short.
It's a little tiny short, just a tiny. She cut the dry ends off, but she's the same way. She owns a barbershop. It's 2 folks that are in there, and she just flipped into the monitor, and she's like, have you done it yet? Because again, she's like, you have so much more followers than I do. I'm like, oh no. I mean, I thought about it, and I thought she's like, oh, so I will at some point, and that's not what it's about for me. It's more about just, I don't know, the bigger I get, the more followers I get, the more attention that I can bring. It's more attention to this and to the community, and to be able to boost those folks up, and again, it's the same thing, it's the same thing as going to the hot sauce, because a lot of new folks are like, oh, should I venture out? Should I go to those hot sauce shows? And it's a tough world, right? So now that we have so many shows out there, it works out a little bit better. So you're not having to travel so far. You're not going across the country, right? So because it's expensive, right, and all that part. But you're in a building or outside at a festival, and there's 50 to 60 the same vendors selling the same exact thing. That's pretty tough, right? But for the most part, most of those folks are trying to help the new guy along, right, as much as I am, because if they do well, or this one does well, then in theory we all do well.
And that's what I've seen when I've been able to get out. Like I met you the first time at Oxford Hot Sauce Festival in 2021. We were talking about a few things there, but that was one of the things that you, Mike, and a couple other people we've talked about, they showed me that part of it. It's kind of like y'all saw I was lost in the sauce. I'm like, it's hot, my hip hurts.
Man, it was hot, wasn't it?
Yeah, that year. And then the next year, you were sick, and then this past year I was out of town. Plus it rained, I think.
Yeah, I think it just about got rained.
Yeah.
For the most part, it just about got rained out.
And I know they're doing 2 days this year, and I'm going to try to make it.
Yeah, I think we're gonna. Yeah, I think we're gonna go up this year too. We thought about going. And it was just me. Just missing opportunities and not getting in there. But we will most likely then up there this year.
Okay.
So, yeah. Should be
Well,
pretty
because
cool.
I've known about it 10 years or more, and that was the first time that I'd ever gone.
Right.
Even though it's only 30, 40 minutes away.
Yeah.
Like it's easier to get there than it is here.
Is that really?
Yeah.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
I just jump on 85 and go north.
I felt, that was that year that we met there. That was my first year here, and it was like I just needed to. I wanted to get out embrace the community. If that makes sense. Just to kind of get out there and I
That's
just moved
that's
from
one
Phoenix.
community.
Yeah, right. But you should, and that's what I think. So it was a cool thing that I did back in Phoenix, and I really enjoyed it. It ran its time. We did a Phoenix hot sauce play, right? And so what we would do is we invited folks out to come, and then so we did it like bi-monthly, I guess it was, and then so each one of the shows, each one of the things, it was one manufacturer was the keynote speaker, if you will, right? So they brought their stuff. There was no charge, there was no booth fee, or anything like that. They came, they got to sell their product, but then at some point we handed them a microphone, and we were like, "How'd you get into it? How did you start? Tell us your story. What did you do?" Right? And then the folks that were there, right, could ask them questions and can interact. And then we ate and drank and just had an absolute blast.
Oh, yeah.
So it was a good time, and I really wanted to do something like that here as well. So that was like my first foray into kind of meeting who was all out there, and once I met Mike Palmetier, I just guy's great, isn't he? I give him a hard time, but you gotta love that guy.
When you look at Mike, you go, "This guy's a meathead." No,
Right,
he's just
right.
quiet. You don't want to talk about no
He's
BS.
good.
Hey man,
He
you
was
good?
funny. Yeah, back when he was with CERTA, he came out and he visited, and he saw the collection on the other end. He saw it in Phoenix. So and then he was just here a couple of weeks ago. It was kind of fun, but I forget to watch that video. We had a good time. It was neat. Come on, dude. You're on social media. You gotta watch all that stuff.
Yeah, but I was watching all of it there for a while, and I had to back away, and that way away.
Well, there's a lot of stuff out there, but I think that there's good parts to it, and then there's bad parts to it.
Well, I mean,
just like anything else.
Like in the
just
Marine
life.
Corps. In the Marine Corps, where you say every place has its stellar 10%, and put that however you want.
Absolutely. But yeah, they are good people. Again, they really took us in. It was again, knowing him before I got, he was really nice, And we had, so before I worked for Hot Shots, and I wasn't even with Hot Shots for not even 3 years yet.
Well, yeah, that's kind of what I was wondering. Like, what was it you were doing in Phoenix? And that's what you were basically just explaining, right? You were, helping out.
Yeah. So, what brought me to Phoenix? I worked for one of those big box clubs, and so I was a store manager.
Oh, okay.
I lived in Florida and ended up going out and was able to open up a new store for them.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
And at some point, so when I moved out there, I had just kind of gotten into. I was writing for Chili Pepper magazine when that was a thing.
I didn't even know it was.
Yeah, right. So I think I wrote for them for I don't know, maybe 7 years, maybe 8 years ish. So when I first started doing it, I struggled because I struggled with the recipe development and just getting it out there and just being able to present it and put it readable, writable.
Oh, so you were trying not to do the CVS receipt before you got to
Yeah,
it.
exactly. Right. So I had been I worked for that company for 21 years, and so I just thought, time for difference, do something different. So I jumped out. I was 40, I think I was 42, 43. I went to culinary school. I went to Arizona, ACI, Arizona Culinary Institute.
Okay.
And then so part of the curriculum that you had with them is you had to do some restaurant time, and that was part of went to your grade. So I ended up getting a job at the Four Seasons out there, in Scottsdale. Yeah, so that was pretty neat. So it was really the whole culinary thing. The school was really fun. So again, writing for the magazine, I think I put 3 of the chef instructors in the magazine. They all put recipes in, but it really helped me with that recipe development and really dialing in what I needed to do and just be able to put a legible recipe together, right, and to be able to present it for folks to be able to redo it and create it. And I think it was a lot of fun. So it followed my culinary, my trek, my growth. It also followed somewhat of the collection. And then one of the other guys that used to write for them, Captain Tom, I think that got to meet him. He was just, I get a little emotional. He passed a couple of years ago.
Okay, I think I saw it.
And he reached out to me when he wasn't feeling good. He was like, "Listen, I can't keep up with this. Because I would love for you if you would take over. I've already talked to them; they're good with it. If you're good with it, and take over my article." And that one was more dealing with the spicier side of things. And that was the hottest.
So you kind of went from jalapeno and habanero to ghost and all the way
to the top. Nice. So I did both of them, and I ran both. And it was a challenge to come up with new recipes and new things. So one of them was more toward I stuck to the sauces and the condiments, and then the other one I was just throwing people's face off, and just and I just thought would do to try to take my really cool classic recipes that we all grew up on, and then just put something just.
Well, I mean, here in a little bit when we try them, this is kind of like a bold barbecue sauce with a bunch of 7-pot primo mash in it, and a few other pow pows.
You're terrible, man.
Well, you're going to be the first person that my sister took it to her work. And somebody tried them, but you'll be the first person in the community that has.
Really?
I've sent it off to one person, but they were not able to try it just yet, and I don't know why else. But
that's an honor. That's pretty cool. Thank you. I appreciate that.
If people like this, I have somebody in mind, and I will tell you off camera that I'm willing to gift the recipe to.
Oh, really?
Just because of they're a producer, and they were nice when they didn't have to.
Sure.
So.
It's kind of neat, right?
I've already told them, but they were too busy to respond right now. So.
Right. But it's cool. It's there's people like K. John, that have just been mentors through my life, and he was a mentor for in just not the hot sauce aspect of it, just in life in general, and so. It's neat when you have folks like that really kind of care and that really kind of want to help. And I just hundreds of them that I've met throughout. It's funny that my mom actually gives me a hard time because she's like, you go to more hot sauce festivals and you come home to visit me.
Well, in fairness, Mom, it is kind of my business.
It is kind of a job, Well, it's my job, But it is, and so it's neat, and then the hype leading up to these shows, right? So we're getting ready to go to Albuquerque, right? The Fire Food Show, the Fire Foods and Barbecue Show. So I'm really looking forward to that one because it's one of the big ones. It's one of the oldest running ones that's been out there. So there's some new faces that are going to be there. So I'm really looking forward to trying their new sauces. There's some folks that new flavors that they've had along the year, and so it's I'm like a kid at a candy shop. I try to so I'll be riding with Ed again. I'll do with the Puck and Button group.
Okay.
So it was so. I mean, even before you even asked me that. So how did that kind of come about, right? So as we really kind of this hot shots thing and is so my foray into this, right? So I started with K. John's group, and I traveled with them for 12, maybe 13 years, going to just the shows, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's probably what from when he was in Ohio and then all the way to where he was in Arizona, or?
So he retired